Hey, greetings and suave evening, and welcome to episode 2 of Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. I am your host, Dr. Brother Suave, the mind blowing, thought provoking, and eye opening on air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, creator, and your divine social therapist. Today, this evening, tonight, I'm so happy to see another day I've never seen before. I definitely am blessed to see another day. Thank God for another day to get it right. You know what? I don't do good. I do great because I'm all about elevation. So tonight, we're going to be talking about love, relationships, and unequally yoked. Yes. See, my SWAT philosophy is healing from a social, spiritual, and clinical perspective. But before I continue, I want to just thank my creator for just blessing me with this opportunity to do some healing from a social, spiritual, and clinical perspective. I would like to empower you guys. I would like to bless you guys. I would like to give you guys something to think about, to process. So just sit back and enjoy this mind blowing, thought provoking, eye opening experience. So before I say anything, I would just like to think about the person who's going to be on tonight. But I want to think about how relationships and continue to be connected with people is such an amazing thing. We have to stay connected because you never know what's going to happen in the future. That's why you always have to protect your brand, your reputation, and be a person of your word. So let me tell you about this person. This person I met, I believe it's 12 years. And how we met was, it was 2010. And I had a lot of challenges in my life. But you know what? That is great. And I remember writing a book, Lust Child, Children Born Out of Lust and Not Love. And I was able to go to Essence and sell a lot of books and get myself back on my feet. But God was in the blessing game. And so next thing you know, I got invited by Hank Stewart. It was Hank Stewart's all white event. It was Hank Stewart 2010. And I met this gentleman. And it was an amazing experience. So it was him, myself, I hope I didn't mess up, but it was Dr. Alderman Tark, Dr. Linda Wiley. It was the panel. We was talking about relationships. And after the event was over, we exchanged numbers. And ever since then, we stayed connected. This man was very instrumental and helped me through some times that I was struggling. Dealing with all different things. But you know what? That's why it's so important to stay connected. And so this is why I always tell people, you never know who's going to be there for you. So you try to not to burn any bridges. And so I just want to talk about this person because he's a brilliant person. And he's the Black Love Doctor. I got some paperwork on me. Let's see where it is. Right here. There you go. Let me give a little intro. So this person is an outstanding person. And let me tell you, he's going to set it off. You're going to be wondering why he's so magnificent. So the person I'm talking about, the person I'm edifying, is no other than Dr. Aaron Turpo. Listen, I used to mess up on that name so much, but he gave me a strategy. So his name is Dr. Aaron Turpo. He is Essence magazine best-selling author, nationally recognized marriage and family relationship expert. He has been featured on the internet, television, radio, and print media around this beautiful country. Dr. Tarpo has been working with individuals, couples, and companies nationwide for, guess what, over 25 years, counseling and providing relationship programs and trainings to improve interpersonal relationship. He has spoken to audience across this entire beautiful country as well as the Caribbean. You can watch Dr. Aaron Turpo on Tarpo channel via YouTube, the Black Love Doctor. But listen, that's not it, because he's going to get a chance to talk about himself, but I just want to continue to edify him because he has his this wonderful book, which is S's bestseller, called The Harmonious Way. Listen, this became Essence magazine best-selling. I'm telling you, this is I'm telling you, he has a lot of things he do, and I'm telling you, you need to check him out. But this is the make sure you understand how legitimate he is. Listen, he is recognized as the #1 marriage counselor in Atlanta, Georgia, by 3bestrated.com. He received his PhD in counseling psychology and his master's in education and guidance and counseling from the University of Georgia. He received his MDiv, which is the master's in divinity degree from the School of Theology at Claremont, and his bachelor's in business from the Morehouse College. Dr. Tarpo resides in Atlanta with his wife, the wonderful and beautiful voice actress, Michelle Wallace Tarpo. So without further ado, welcome the king, the brilliant Dr. Aaron Tarpo, the Black Love Doctor. Welcome.
Thank you, Brother Suave, Dr. Brother Suave. So, hey, man, I appreciate that introduction, man. You good at what you do. You're great. I'm sorry, you're suave-tastic at what you do.
Oh, man, you bring some respect to my Suavicon, man. All right, all right. Man, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it's an honor. You know, I got so much respect for you, man.
Thank
Listen, you guys, y'all know, anybody know me? How I am in public is how I am in private. I'm going to edify him publicly, same way I edify him privately. And anybody know me, I'm consistent with that, man. I'm just so happy. I'm excited. You know, I don't even think I have as much as butterflies that I had last week, because I'm telling you, I was a wreck. But you know, I'm feeling home. You know, and thank you for coming on. So listen, I know I just gave a brief description. I just want you to tell them a little bit about your background and tell them about the great person you are.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, sir. Just a little bit about my background. I grew up here in the ATL in Atlanta, Georgia, product of Atlanta Public Schools. As you mentioned, went to Morehouse College. I have a few more degrees after that, and eventually found my way to doing what I'm doing now, which is I am Black America's love doctor. So
yes, you are.
I transform marriage and relationships. I help them to save their marriages and just really help them people play their true note in life, and hopefully doing that, finding a partner that they can be coupled or yoked with to do so.
Oh, absolutely. So again, it was some things I didn't mention earlier, but you know, as you mentioned, unequally yoked. And now I'm about empowering and edifying, and through social, spiritual, and clinical perspective. And a lot of times people see unequally yoked basically from a spiritual perspective. And I know it's more to it. You know, I know a lot of saved, holy people, but they're struggling economically, intellectually. There are some issues, developmentally, some issues, and some issues dealing with their mental health. And so a lot of people talk about equally yoked, but equally yoked can come from a social, spiritual, and clinical perspective. So, you know, it's incredible, but what's your perspective on unequally yoked? Because I heard you mention it.
Sure. You know, unequally yoked, most people refer to that because the Bible talks about being unequally yoked. There's a couple of passages in there, particularly in Corinthians and what have you, where it talks about being unequally yoked. So let's look at what unequally yoked is.
Okay.
You see, in the old days, you'd have oxen. You'd have like you have two oxen, and you're running this plow.
Okay.
Right? And the ideal, so you can make the plow go straight, not struggle, is to have equally yoked oxen. You want this ox to be just as strong as that ox, so that they're equally yoked. Because if they're not the same level of strength or power, and they're not equally yoked, what'll happen? Your plow will veer off this way. Your plow will veer off that way. And so that is the ideal when you're trying to move forward and to go through life. you want to be equally yoked with somebody, so it's not a lot of confusion and getting off course and what have you. You want to be equally yoked so you can be productive in life. And
Absolutely.
so
Oh,
that's where the analogy comes from. And
mm,
so it's and you can be unequally yoked in different. You want to be ideally yoked with the people in your that you relate with, but the most important probably to be equally yoked with is your spouse, the one that you choose to go through life with in your journey in life. And so there's different ways you can be unequally yoked. You can, like you mentioned, spiritually, socially, economically, what have you. And so ideally, though, you want somebody that you're never going to find somebody that you're completely so perfectly yoked. There's going to be some differences. There's going to be some
mm,
unequalness there, but you want to
uh-huh.
be close enough so that you can go straight through and be productive in life and not have a lot of tension and pulling on each other.
I definitely like the way you explained that. So you're explaining that it just triggered something in me because the way you relate that message is your ability to try to make some connections when it comes to couples. So what got you into this profession? I mean, really?
Sure.
I mean, how did you get into it? I mean, what inspired you?
Sure. So my initial career path was one of in theology. As you mentioned, I have a Master of Divinity from the School of
Okay.
Theology, Claremont out in California. And as I was pursuing that career path, I became married to somebody that I was unequally yoked with.
Okay.
So that's how that happened. So I'll get to how I got into this profession. And so, we got together. I mean, basically, she was fine. The sex was good. I thought I was in love, and I was gonna make
Hmm.
right. So that was not a wise choice on my part because we were unequally yoked, and I'm trying to make that shit work. You know, I,
Hmm.
I just, but we were not yoked, and
Yes.
we were not equally yoked, and so it definitely would veer off and veer off.
Hmm.
And so eventually got divorced, ended that relationship. And as I was going into my spiritual path of being a pastor, I was being an assistant pastor at a church, and then I decided, hey, um, maybe I want to. One of the experiences I had when I was doing my seminary studies, I was a chaplain at a hospital,
Okay.
and it required some counseling. And as I was doing that, I was like, man, I really like this counseling thing. And so, as I was thinking more and more about that experience, I said, you know what? I think I want a different career path. I think I want to go into counseling.
Hmm.
So I decided that I would go into counseling. As you mentioned, I got a master's in counseling from UGA and eventually a PhD in counseling psychology. And so that's how I got into counseling. The way I got into being a marriage and relationship transformer was as I was doing my work, I was working with a lot of couples and different people, and I was noticing that some people were making some of the same bad decisions I was making when it came to my first marriage. Now by this time
Hmm.
I've remarried and moving on in life and starting a family and that type of thing. But that's how I got pretty much into the profession.
Oh man. And I'm glad because again, you remember you was talking about the oxens,
Yeah.
and so as you were saying and about the equal strength, and all I was processing was balance.
Hmm. Yeah.
Everything's not going to be perfect. So it's just like quantitative method. We don't have to. It's nothing ever going to be 100%, but we want to have some type of balance. It's going to
Right.
be somewhere where somebody's a little stronger than you.
Always.
You don't want the person to be in a scholar, and then you having a person who don't know 2 plus 2.
Right.
You know, you want some type of balance.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, and speaking of balance, I'm happy that you have yourself, myself, and a few others because this is a female saturated profession. And when you look at it, we need a little more balance in this profession. So, fellas out there, if you're interested in, you can take that same route. You happen to be a church counselor, man. You need to get in this profession because we need some voices. We need to hear some voices because again, it's important that we hear both sides. Because again, when we're created, Dr. Tarpo, we created with an egg and a sperm, and a male and a female to create another perfect creation, what's called a male or female child. And so when the child comes out the womb, we need both. We need balance in our lives. So we need balance in this profession. We need the equally yokes. We need all these things that's just going to create some balance in our lives, you
Mhm.
know. And so when you said that, and again, you were saying you saw a lot of challenges, and there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun.
Yep.
So when you became that transformer, you started to, what made you just go into transforming other than just doing everything as a psychotherapist? You decided to just specialize in that couples, and you
Exactly.
became great in it. You build a brand from it, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. So I was noticing a lot of my clients
Hmm.
that I was working with, they had couples and relationship issues, and I could really, I really enjoyed working with those areas because of the previous experiences that I had. I
Hmm.
considered myself a wounded healer.
Yes.
And so wounded healers are very good because they can actually empathize not only up here, but all down in here about, yeah, man, I've been there too. And
Oh,
so by being able to be that wounded healer, I was being very effective in my counseling people with couples. And so eventually I decided more and more I was just going to focus on that, focus on that, focus on that. And the more I focused on that, I just went with it and embraced it versus being a generalist. I
okay.
chose my niche and went with that.
All
Uh,
right.
and when people come to me for advice on how to do private practice and all those things, they say, "Man, how'd you do it?" and all that. I said, "Well, one thing is deciding on a niche.
Yeah.
Niche niche marketing is counterintuitive, but it is very wise. It's scary. It's scary at first, but it's very wise. And when I decided to niche, I niched twice.
Okay.
I not only niched with function, I niched with population.
Oh, wow.
So by niching twice, it went boom, 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 boom. So what do I mean by that? I niched function, marriage counseling,
Okay.
and then I niched population, black folk. And
Yes.
I was like, plup, 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 plup. And so the practice definitely just we got even more successful when I niche, even though it's counterintuitive.
Yeah, and that says a lot about, one, your discernment, two, your determination, and three, that we can support each other and make a good living.
Yo, man, do you know how many times I heard, man, black people don't go to counseling?
Okay.
Man, I heard that much so much, and it was like, man, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't. Everybody telling me. Maybe I'm like, oh my God, they're right. Maybe I shouldn't.
No.
I said, well, if it can happen anywhere, it can happen with black people. I already know where are black people? Atlanta. So I said, if I can do it here, if there's one place I can do it, I can do it. I said, well, John Johnson did it with Ebony Magazine.
Uh-huh.
Robert Johnson did it with BET.
Okay.
So maybe I can do the same thing with counseling. And I took that leap and did that. And I'm glad I did. It was a good choice.
Yeah, it was a suave amazing choice,
There you
you know,
go.
suave fantastic choice. I see, that's the thing. I love when people speak power into their lives, is it was someone's on here was saying, do you think there are areas that you have to be equally yoked and others that are not so important to be equally yoked?
Yeah. Well, it depends. And it's not cookie cutter for everybody. It depends on what's important to you in life, really. Because some things may not be important to you, but that it is important to you. For me, physical attractiveness was very important to me. So I needed
Yes.
somebody to meet that category. Is that shallow? Yeah, but that's
It's
just
okay.
that's just the shallow part of me. But being honest about that, then I would be equally yoked with somebody. And I talk in my
Absolutely.
book sometimes too. Now, if I would not be honest about that and and say, well, no, I don't want to be superficial, then I would end up being unequally yoked with somebody, and that wouldn't have been a good thing. Now, if that's not important to me, then I don't have to worry about that. Okay,
Okay.
you have to understand what is important to you and what do you expect to have out of a love partner. So, and it's different for everybody. Not
Hmm.
everybody's concerned about the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
If I'm wealthy, does that mean I have to be equally yoked with somebody who's not wealthy? Not necessarily so.
Mm.
Why? Because it ain't money's taken care of. We're not thinking about that now. So
Yes.
we got other things to think about. It's
Hmm.
whether or not we're going to be yoked on or not. So it just really depends on the situation. It's not one answer for everybody.
Absolutely. I want to thank Curtis Kegler for that question. Right now, we're going to go into a commercial break. We'll be right back with social therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. We're back with social therapy for Dr. Brother Suave and our very special guest, the Black Love Doctor, Dr. Aaron Turpo. Listen, that question, yes, and I think when you was mentioning it earlier, it's almost like you could answer a question before it was presented. And again, certain things are important, but then when we go back to history, again, economics is not always important for certain people who are wealthy. You understand? And those things. And when you were saying about and in my book, The 10 Commandments of Intimacy, initial attraction was the first intimacy. So I have to be with someone I'm attracted to. But again, and then I go into the spiritual part because I want us to have a similar philosophy. But then there's other things and it's finances. I'm not rich, and I definitely don't want someone coming into my life being a financial liability. So that is important to me. You understand? And so I want them doing good, somewhat some type of education, some stability. Those things are important, but also socially. Being able to enjoy life, love music, and those things they're important to me. So again, I don't think a person is going to like everything you like, but at least have some type of balance.
Yeah, definitely right. That's what my book is about. My book is actually about finding somebody that you can equally yoke with. The harmonious way, find love in marriage by playing your true note.
So let's talk about that.
Yes.
Let's talk about this Essence best-selling book.
I should have had a picture.
Oh man, listen,
right,
you gotta keep it product. You gotta keep that product. Hey, it's an opportunity to get them cheap plugs, man.
Oh man, I'm still learning from you. I thought. So yeah, the harmonious way. You can find it on my website, which is just go to blacklovedoctor.com. And you can find it there. And you can also find it on Amazon.com. Just type in my last name, Turpo, Turpeau, and then you'll be able to find that as well. So, but let's talk about the book. After my relationship not working out, and I'm seeing other clients, their relationships not working out, I was like, man, I need to write about this. So it was actually, I started writing the book because it was a distraction from doing my dissertation. Because I'm just procrastinating on the dissertation. So I said, I got
I know what you mean.
So, but I would just keep the notes. And finally, when I finished the dissertation and got up my career going, I went ahead and compiled it and wrote the book. But it's about being equally yoked with someone. You don't.
Wow, what a coincidence.
Yep, exactly. And so that's what it's about. The original subtitle was A Success Guide to Selecting a Compatible Mate.
Oh, wow.
So so it is about playing your true note in life. How did I come up with the title? Play your true note in life, and you find somebody who else is playing their note. And once you can come together and harmonize with each other, then you'll be able to make beautiful music together. And so that is what the book is about: being equally yoked with someone. And it takes you step-by-step guide how to go through that process to find somebody. First, getting in touch with yourself, and then going out and finding people that you can be equally yoked with.
You know what? Let me give kudos to you. And this is one thing I always say: there's nothing new under the sun, and you need to embrace and try to cultivate strong relationships for mutual betterment. Because another cheap plug, the Ten Commandments. um, I talked about building that relationship with yourself, which is the most important relationship. And when you evaluate yourself and work on, you better prepare to get into a relationship. But it's all about preparation.
Right.
And so here you got the harmonious way, you got the 10 commandments, and we're both talking about working on ourselves so we can get ourselves. And I talked about my failed relationship, my failed marriage. And it's like, whoa, you have to get yourself prepared and evaluate yourself. Because a lot of times we look at other people about them and their shortcomings, but we're not really looking at ourselves. It's like we can see each other's nose, but if we were on this camera, I couldn't see my nose, but you can see it, and
Right.
you couldn't see mine, but you can see it.
Right.
So I love, and again, it's people who learn to put in the work, they research and they evaluate themselves, they hold themselves responsible, and we able to, again, what do you say, the wounded healer, But the thing is, we don't stay in that dark place.
Right.
We hold ourselves accountable. We have accountability partners, and we understand our calling, our mission, and our purpose. And I thank you. So when you got that status bestseller, I always wanted that. How did you feel?
I felt great, man. I was like, oh man, this is wonderful. I'm getting out there. I'm starting to do this thing that called branding and all that. I just need I need to go with it.
Yes, man. That had to be a amazing feeling, to have that. Because I think I did good. I sold a lot of books, but I don't think I got to that status,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good time. I don't push them as much as I need to, but I remember that time I was grinding, pushing.
Yeah. Hey, can't stop, won't stop,
Right.
And hopefully you get some sales tonight,
Yes.
Don't forget as I talk, sometimes you can grab that phone, text the wifey and say, bring me a copy right quick.
Yeah.
Get it in, hide your hands and try to text her right quick and tell her to bring you a book so you can get those plugs in.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Go. I don't think nobody can judge you, but they can anyway. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go ahead, man. I don't feel disrespected. So listen, so this is one of the things I wanted to ask you, because you was mentioning earlier about people saying what you couldn't do. Suppose you would have fell into that. Look how many lives you probably wouldn't have impacted if you believed other people.
You're right about that, man. Definitely right. So yeah, you gotta listen to yourself. I'm constantly trying to tell my kids and other people, just, I believe in, I get my kids will say sometimes, well, nobody else is doing that. I'm like, and so what? Nobody else is doing it.
That means an open market.
Yeah.
Wide open.
So, don't be a follower.
Yes.
So be a leader. Like Martin Luther King said, don't be a tail light in society, be a headlight.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, okay, people say, well, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. I said, well, maybe not, but I'm going to try and see what happens.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm a person who's going to be oppositional. When people say you can't, let me tell you something. This is my Suave philosophy. I can is easier to say than I can't.
There you go. I like that.
And so what happens is when you think about life, people are so pessimistic. I'm optimistic. And I'm going to always have faith in myself. And I'm not looking for someone to co-sign me. The Bible talks about faith of a mustard seed moves mountain. Yeah. But in the book of Suave, doubt of a mustard seed counts as blessings. I believe you must have 100% faith and zero doubt, because 99.9 won't do. You must have 100% faith. You don't need a mustard seed of doubt. That accounts for the whole blessing. The smallest things are very significant. So when you start listening to people, that little mustard seed gets bigger and bigger. Next thing you know, it's like a mango seed. It gets bigger. And you don't have the time or luxury to subscribe to other people naysays. You have to believe in yourself. And I'm happy that you did, because Look, you're the Black Love Doctor.
There you go.
You have you have changed the game. You have blessed many souls. And I thank you for it. We
Thank
have
you.
a question coming in from a Brandy Johnson, and she says, "What's the average age range of your clients, Dr. Charco?"
Oh wow, man, it's interesting. I would have to say it's the whole gamut. It's people in their 20s, and
Mm-hmm.
oldest I had somebody in their 80s one time. So yeah, you heard me right, 80s. So, but the average age range, I would say right now, right in there, the 30s and 40s.
30. And now check this out. Now, when we talk about transitions, and one of the most difficult ages for ladies is from that 29 to 39. And those were, developmentally, when it comes to their careers, making that bread on point. When those relationships and developmental, especially when it comes to unequally yoked, and they start realizing, like, you know what, I was making six figures, I got my degree, I'm doing good, and because of status quo, I needed to get married because I felt, one of these social constructs, I need to be married and have a relationship and have a child. But I got with someone who was unequally yoked to me spiritually, financially, socially, and intellectually and economically. And that in turn leads to a lot of the counselors services that I think.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Again, it is so important. I was not equally yoked at all in that first marriage. So the second time around,
Mhm.
I actually embraced the concept of being equally yoked and being compatible. And so I was much more intentional. I use this head more than
Yes.
the other one. So I was much more intentional about who I was going to choose as a partner this time, second time around.
Yes.
And I did that process to find my current wife now.
Mm.
And so it paid off. We've been happily married since 1992. And so it's been a great, but I was, people spend more time choosing the vacation they're going on, the car they're going to buy, or the stocks they're going to invest in than they do in their spouse selection. And what's more
Yes.
important than the person that you're choosing to get with? And so, and you're going to leave that up to whim and chemistry and je ne sais quoi, and I don't know, just a feeling. I'm like, come on, man.
Yes. It needs to, you know
All
how
right.
the network marketers say, does it make sense? It has
Right.
to make sense.
Yeah, and it's not making sense, but it's just that feeling. Okay,
Okay.
just roll
Feeling
the
don't make
dice.
facts.
It'll work.
Yes. And we have a Tracy Randolph. She says a lot of that leads to failed relationships.
Yep, exactly right. And so that's
Yes.
I said, let me write a book on it so people can not make the same mistakes that I made. And
Mm-hmm.
and then mention of the book. For some reason, it just appeared to me. Hey,
Ah.
we get it in the frame here. Nice. This is the
Oh,
original
listen, you guys check that
cover,
out. Look at it.
original edition, The Harmonious Way.
Yes.
You may see different covers on Amazon because they publish the book as well.
Okay.
And it's about again, this version says a success guide to selecting a compatible mate. Basically, how to get equally yoked. See, we've all been programmed with what I call unhealthy love tracks.
Yes.
What
Explain that.
our subconscious has been programmed with these unhealthy love tracks about how to choose a partner and about love and marriage and all these things. And so we go out here making stupid decisions. Well, if I love them, everything will work out.
Mm.
No, that ain't true. Love does not conquer all. That's
And
not
it
true.
doesn't pay bills.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so, so we got to reprogram ourselves, and this I call this mental software. So
Oh, wow.
this will reprogram you from those unhealthy love tracks to make sure that you're choosing a compatible mate. Be smart about the decision.
Yes.
So this will help you to be smart about the decision. You wonder why you're successful in other areas of your life? Because you thought about that shit.
And
So
you was
think
intentional.
about who you're going to get with. What's more important? Yeah, and you're intentional. Think about what's more important than the person you decide to pair up with and partner with and yoke yourself to.
Yeah. And it's funny that you said intentional is because Brandy Johnson said legacies are built with intention.
There you go. Amen. And
Amen.
legacy is I consider being a family man, having kids. My kids are my legacy. That's what
Yes.
I'm leaving behind to society. They are my immortality. This is how I go into. They are my posterity. This is how I continue to go into the future. And so having a partner that I can be equally yoked with helps to produce the kind of legacy that we're trying to produce.
Yeah. And one of the things, and you was mentioning about programming, um, I see a lot of times we have to start programming and looking at marriage as the sacrament that it is,
Yes.
and not just looking at it as some civil union.
Yeah.
You know, because what happens is this is how we create legacies when we reprogram ourselves to understand the purpose of it, the intentions of it, to reduce generational curses, reduce children born out of wedlock, and doing everything with intention. You focusing on yourself and trying to um, intentionally make yourself prepared for a strong, healthy, and compatible relationship. And then you take your time. You don't just do it because a status quo and just and the biggest disservice is social construct saying I need to be married by a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
I need and have the nice pictures. We need to be mindful of the right partner. And sometimes I notice that a lot of people, they have this fantasy of it, but they never had somebody. I think one of the biggest things is that first generation person got married and they don't necessarily have been able to have somebody to model it. So they're the first wife. And I'm not judging. It's just that sometimes instead of doing that, you can go to marriage counseling before you can go to learn,
Mm-hmm.
like premarital counseling and try to learn, invest in yourself and see if you're ready to be in a serious committed relationship, especially if you didn't have anyone to model. It's no shame in it. It's confidential. You go and go to people like Dr. Turpo to learn and ask it and see, because when he's evaluating it, you find a lot of things about yourself that you wouldn't even consider the challenge. So you don't have to be reactive when crisis comes and you say, I'm going to this relationship coach because I done had crisis. You can actually go and learn about yourself and get some coaching, get some books and learn about yourself, because I think we need to overall be proactive instead of reactive.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Absolutely.
So let's think smart ahead of the game versus trying to clean up later on down the road.
Yes. And I think that I think a lot of people will benefit from that.
Yep.
Yes. And so Dr. Turpo, how long you gonna be in this game?
Man, retirement's not even in my vocabulary, man. I hope to die with my boots on. I'm gonna go down swinging. What else am I gonna do? Sit around and watch TV? Fuck that.
hey, you're gonna be like one of my great frat brother, Congressman John Lewis.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I hope to make a difference till the day I die.
Absolutely.
I mean, what am I gonna sit around and watch TV? Like I said, that's the boob tube, man. It's the plug-in drug.
Mm-hmm.
Sit around TV and play golf. I mean, I actually get enjoyment out of production, not consumption so much.
Yeah.
I know most people consumption. I like production, so that's just me. So
Dr. Turpo,
yes, sir.
Let's have this dialogue. Real touchy subject.
Yes.
When people coming into these sessions, your experience.
Yeah.
And people come in there blaming other people.
Yeah. Okay.
And then when you give them insight, and then they realize, wow, I made a poor decision. We were unequally yoked. What percentage of your sessions are like that? Only reason it's touchy is because so many people actually think they're on point about certain things dealing with relationships. But again, they never had somebody to model that, and they basically a first time being in relationships. And for me, in my experience, majority of my clients have been first generation couples, and when you hear about them, they never had anybody, they never saw marriage. They're the first generation.
Yeah. I chuckle when you say that because I just finished talking to somebody about this a minute ago, right before I had a session, right before we got on, and we were actually talking about this stuff here, man. I got counseling when my first marriage didn't work out. And
Mm-hmm.
after it ended, I was like, a few months later, I was ready. I asked my counselor, I said, you think I want to start dating again? You think, what do you think about that? People say it's too soon and that type of thing. He said, for a lot of people, I'd say, yeah, it's too soon. But for you, no, you're ready. Now, why was I ready? One is because I swallowed a pill, and this pill was big,
Not the
and
truth.
it was hard to swallow, and it was hard to digest. And that is the pill of culpability, the pill of self-responsibility, blaming myself. That's a big ass pill,
Mm-hmm.
but it's some strong ass medicine.
Yes.
You see, weak people blame other people. Blamers are weak people. Because if I can blame other people that because I'm in a bad situation, if I can blame other people for it, then it's not my fault. And if it's not my fault, I don't have to do shit to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I can blame other people, I'm giving them the power. And as long as
Mm-hmm.
I can blame other people for doing that to me, I remain in what? Victimhood.
Yes.
And victimhood is not an empowered place to be.
It is not.
No. So I choose to be empowered. Just like I choose optimism like you do, I choose empowerment. So when my marriage didn't work out, yeah, she got me. She did some things she shouldn't have been doing that that I can point to. But here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing, you know, I said to myself, what helped me to turn the corner was to say, all right, dude, how the fuck did you get in that situation in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. You were ignoring the signs early on because she was
Yes.
so you just wanted to make that shit work.
Yes. You know.
I should have known when she went down on me on the second date. Now at the time I was loving it, but I should have known then.
Yes.
Maybe she's not marriage material. So,
Yes. You know.
hello, McFly. So that just other signs too that you have to pay attention to. But I wanted to ignore it. I didn't pay
Yes.
attention to the signs.
And
Right?
that's where you got to take responsibility that
Take
you didn't see
responsibility.
the signs.
What did I should have done better? I said, okay, got me. But now what do I learn from this? So now that I can make different and better decisions in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So amen to what you're saying about blaming other people. I don't let my clients blame other people.
Okay. And one of the things that I also have witnessed and with my clients, the repeated pattern of getting with Joe Schmuck who don't have a car, don't have a job, don't have a thing, and these unrealistic expectations that he's going to be a great husband.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if he don't have the ability to take care of himself, what make you think he's going to be a responsible person to be marriage material?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then I go upstairs between sessions because I work from home. Mm-hmm. And I went to my wife and I said, man, it's very frustrating. I see all these women getting with these guys they don't need to be with, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so frustrating. Why are these women getting with these guys? And it's very frustrating. They have to treat themselves like queens and know what they want and not settle for certain. Now we all have to settle eventually. If you don't settle, then you'll be by yourself. Mm-hmm. So, but when I say settle, what I'm saying is because there's nobody perfect. Think about this. There's nobody perfect.
Exactly.
So if nobody's perfect, you have to settle. So, or else you'll be alone.
Absolutely.
But again, in the harmonious way.
There you go.
In the harmonious way, I talk about how to go through that process of really trying to figure out what is important to you. What are your must-haves? What are your deal breakers? What are the things that you definitely need that person to come with? And don't always scrape the bottom of the barrel just because, he's got this going on or did that. Really think holistically about it.
Yeah, man, I want to go into that. But we have a question from Mr. Curtis Kegler. He wants to know, can your book help those already in a marriage?
Yeah, I've gotten some comments from married people. It is targeted towards single people, but I've gotten some comments from married people that help them to really think about their own relationship and whether not how compatible they are in their current marriage. And
Mhm.
so a lot of people said it was helpful for that, and it was helpful for them to. I have a chapter on love maintenance and just about the total philosophy of life, because being equally yoked doesn't just mean and being harmonious, having a harmonious relationship. I call
Mhm.
it the harmonious way, because it's a way like a Tao or yoga, meaning it's a way of life, meaning finding your harmonious partner, but also finding your harmonious career,
Yes.
finding your harmonious whatever,
Yes.
where you want to live,
Hmm.
what your harmonious hobby, just whatever. It's finding compatibility, being equally yoked with these things in life, so you will experience harmony in your life.
Okay, now we have another question, a statement from a Tonda Kennedy. She said, and you have to truly love yourself to know what your deal breakers are.
Yeah, yeah, and be honest about it.
Yes.
Your deal breaker may not be somebody else's deal breaker,
Yes.
and that's fine. Like I told you, a deal breaker for me, I had to be sexually physically attracted to somebody.
Yes.
That's just that was one for me. Some people, if the person smokes, some people, if he's not at least 6 feet, it's not for me to judge your deal breaker. That's your
Yeah.
deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we have another one. Oh, the questions are coming in. We have another question. If the foundation is rotten, the project is doomed to fail. It said, it says, stop it, sisters, queens. If we didn't break them, we can't fix them.
There you go. You don't need to be with
Wow,
somebody
that
you got
Ben
to
Johnson's
fix.
on fire.
I tell people, I say, you don't want a rotten apple, you don't want a green apple, you want a ripe apple.
Absolutely. And I can't remember exactly. You can help me out on a particular Bible verse says, don't you see I'm black and blue? Don't move a relationship before it's ripe. Like don't eat that fruit before it's ripe. It has to
Okay.
be right and right on time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So again, so man, these again, I think sometimes people are so rushed to get in relationships, they're not taking any time to evaluate it. And what I say is, I think a lot of people get into relationships because this is an acronym that I made up, and it's called the LLFRH process. And that means sometimes when people get lonely, they make a lame decision. And so they get frustrated with the individual, and then they start to get frustrated because they made a bad decision. They frustrated with the person because it's not panning out, but they frustrated with themselves because they did it, got with somebody, and then they start to build that resentment for them, and then they build hatred, and then they say, what to say? To the left, to the left, to the left, to the left, because they realized they were in another phase, another acronym. It was called the RRJ process, and that means romanticize, rationalize, and justify. And
Wow.
so, so they get so caught up on that LLFRH process, then they forget about as a result of the RRJ. And so it ends up getting counseling. But a lot of times it results into divorces, which increase the numbers. Because again, they didn't prepare for it. They just
Yeah,
looked at the physical characteristics and they totally disregard the intellectual significance. Because a person who's smart and bright and have somebody to coach and are coachable, they know how to make these decisions and try to make these relationships work out.
yeah, man. That's excellent stuff you're telling.
It's excellent stuff you telling. Because you had a Camille Medley was saying you on fire, you keeping it 100. You
Cool.
know, Camille Medley. I mean, I'm telling you, man, these people are enjoying because I'm learning and you are on fire. So man, hey, I'm telling you guys, me and Dr. Tarpo, when we talk, man, again, this is like when we're talking on the phone, empowering each other, and we share our experiences, and we all about healing. And again, it's about balance because we're as you see, we're not strictly talking about all the issues of spiritual. We're not talking about all the clinical, and we're not talking about social. We're trying to have a balance, and it's important to create balance. when you're talking about balance, it's important. We need balance in our lives. We need balance in our relationships. We need balance in our careers. Because as you mentioned, a career is important. A career that provides you enough balance that you can spend time with your family. There's a lot of careers out there. They have a career, make a lot of money, but there's no balance in terms of family time. That's one of the things that I think Tom Brady was talking about. He spends so much time off season preparing for the season. He's not spending enough ample time with his children. And balance is so important to having strong, healthy, and compatible and long-lasting relationships.
Yep. Amen to that. I'm a big believer in balance. Balance your life to your optimum, to your optimal balance. And it's different for everybody. It's not the same for everybody. You have to decide what's optimal for you. Right. And so balancing career, balancing family, balancing taking care of yourself, all this is very important stuff.
Yes, yes. Ooh, I heard something. So, Dr. Tarpo, we got about 9 minutes. So let's
let me ask this. Are we gonna have another break?
Yeah, we can take one right quick. And then we'll close it out on fire. So we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-oh. You okay?
My charge.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So hey, this past close to an hour has been an amazing, or should I say, amazing experience. Hope that you guys are enjoying yourself. And so, I like to be controversial because I like to, again, when I'm saying mind blowing, thought provoking, and eye opening, I like to close out things to something that's touchy. I like to give those disclaimers because I think touching a certain part of the heart makes people think. So when we talk about equally yoked, and I didn't want to have the whole dialogue talking about it, but I have to close out with it. Unequally yoked spiritually. And I see this in the church a lot. You have a lot of devout Christians and attending services throughout the week, every Sunday. But because they did the romanticize, rationalize, and justify, remember, actions speak louder than words. This holy person ended up marrying some heathen because they wanted to be married. What's your opinion about that, and how complicated are those services or those sessions?
So it's hard to talk about because in sessions when we talk about these things, I forget exactly how the quote goes in the Bible. Everybody who says Lord, Lord is unnecessarily one of my people, or something like that. So once I get them behind closed doors, I don't have an office anymore. I work from home, but everybody's pretty much the same. And that's the pastors included. A lot of my clients are pastors.
I know.
Okay, and they're just like everybody else.
Yes.
Same problems, same
Same
issues.
problem.
They
Yeah.
cuss too, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of the same issues. So now the real serious unequally yoked people spiritually they really, it's like drastic. You got extreme fundamentalist type people who are more moderate and thinking. There's different theologies and philosophies. I do have cases like that. Most of the cases are not like that. Most of the cases are people, as you mentioned, who may have certain beliefs about the Bible and spirituality, but once they get them behind those closed doors, they're just like everybody else, man.
Yes, absolutely.
And then they're no different. And they claim this, claim that, but they, in their houses, they act just like everybody else.
Yes, because it's like, you know how people say we all have different personalities. We have a personality as when we're in church. We have a personality as when we into our profession. We have a personality as a parent. We have a personality as a husband, a wife, a friend. So again, we and then I do notice sometimes those people, but reason I know you. I don't know if you want to touch it, but I do see a lot of the compromise when it comes to a lot of times when people thinking that a person's going to be changed and they think they can change them.
Oh yeah, man. They think,
Yeah,
oh yeah, I just need
that's
to.
why I was saying that person who's in the church and then they want to be married and they say, well, I don't want to be fornicating, I don't want to do all this, but that's why I want to get married. So they get married, but they realize this person is just totally unequally yoked with
That's
them.
what I did, man. That's what I did the
Mhm.
first time around.
Yeah.
Not paying attention. Here I am in seminary, a seminary graduate, going
Hmm.
into the ministry, and I got somebody who was not yoked with that at all.
Oh yes.
At all. So
Hmm.
not thinking, not
Yes.
not being smart. And so that's the prime unequally yoked. It
Yes.
helps. See,
Hmm.
in the old days, people would grow up in the same community, right? Same mores, same values. And so they
Yes.
grow up, they get attracted to each other, they come together. So what's there to talk about? Counseling, who needs that? We're on the same page. Parenting is this way, of course it is. Marriage is this way, of course it is. Finances is this way, of course it is. What's there to talk about? We're just kind of we're naturally equally yoked.
Yes.
But now that's Jack and Jill. But now two people grow up, Jamal and Jaleesa grow up, they get attracted to each other. And so now it's like marriage is this way. No, it's not. Husbands do this. No, they don't. Wives do that. No, they don't. Now it's a bunch of clash because now we have a bigger chasm of diversity.
And the lines have been blurred too.
Yes, exactly. And so now nobody ever taught us how to bridge this chasm. Nobody taught
Yes.
us how to communicate, cooperate, compromise. And so now we're like, we can't figure it
Oh
out.
man.
And so that's why that's why we have to get counseling. This is why we have to get people to show us how to do these things, because your parents didn't teach you. And if they did, consider the source. School
Yes.
doesn't teach you because they don't care about that stuff. The church tries, they don't do a good job. So you got to get a professional to show you how to do this in a better way.
Absolutely. I just want to give a special shout out my cousin. Thank him for showing up. He was saying that this relationship and unequally yoked dialogue was amazing. He enjoyed it. He's saying that so many hats we wear. And so as we have about a minute left, listen, Dr. Tarpu, tell these people how they can contact you, how they can follow you, if you're available to give services, and that book, how they can purchase the book.
Sure. So if you live in the state of Georgia, you can take advantage of my marriage transformation services. And you just reach out to me on my website. My website is blacklovedoctor.com. Again, that's blacklovedoctor.com.
Mhm.
And but even if you're not interested in the services, you can actually go there to get the book as well, The Harmonious Way. You can get The Harmonious Way on Amazon by typing in my last name and The Harmonious Way, or you can go straight to my website, blacklovedoctor.com. You may also be interested in looking at subscribing to my YouTube channel, which is called the Turpo channel. And that is, Turpo is spelled T as in Tom, U-R, P as in Peter, E-A-U. The Turpo channel. And I have a lot of videos where we talk about subjects as what we've been talking about tonight.
Thank you so much. We have Brandy saying, when is part two? Listen, this has been a amazing experience. Man, I appreciate you. I'm so happy. People want to know when's part two. So you always welcome,
Thank
to
you.
come back and enjoy this event with Dr. Brother Suave, man, on Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Listen, be sure to tune in every Wednesday at 8:30 on MPN TV, Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Just remember, great minds reach great places. I love you. I mean it. Bye-bye.
Great job.
This program was made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, and from contributions to NPN TV from viewers like you.